Hey St. Paul, it's Trey Skaggs, and here we are in mid-November already. And if you've been in church these past few Sundays, you know that we have entered into a season of stewardship as we've talked about the upcoming mission and ministry in the life of St. Paul in 2023. We've been talking about King Ahaz, and we've been talking about King Hezekiah from 2 Chronicles, and we've talked about what it looks like to have selfishness in our lives and how that leads us away from God. And we've talked about Hezekiah's leadership and how there was selflessness and how he was about honoring his Heavenly Father and leading his people into a deeper relationship. And part of that comes through sacrifice. And as we look towards stewardship next year, I just want to share how amazing these past few months have been for me and my family to be a part of the St. Paul community. I think we have seen a great groundwork being laid for ministry and mission and momentum to continue in the life of our church. Worship numbers have been increasing, giving has been increasing, youth and children's ministry has been growing. And while we have not perfected everything yet, in fact, we're far from it, I do feel that we're moving in a trajectory that honors God and increases our impact for discipleship and evangelism within our community. As we look towards next year, I hope that you're willing to be a part of that journey with us, not only with your prayers and with your presence, with your service and your witness, but also with your gifts. And it's no secret, sometimes in the life of the church, it's tough to talk about money. In fact, sometimes when preachers start talking about stewardship, folks immediately zone out and wait for the sermon to conclude. But I've been trying to share some of my own vulnerability with you guys these past few Sundays. And if you haven't had a chance to see that, I invite you to go back and watch those sermons. Stewardship is something that I've struggled with when it comes to the financial piece. And it's been a journey for me. One whereby some small steps over the course of 4, 5, 6 years have led Heather and I to a place to where we're tithing and supporting the ministry and the mission of the local church. And I want to encourage you. You may be struggling in that regard as well, to let you know that small steps can be made that honor God. Maybe this has been something that you have just wholeheartedly refused, and you've thought, I'll show up and I'll worship, I'll come and be fed, but when it comes to surrendering my finances, that's not anything that I'm willing to do. I want to challenge you to lean into the invitation to surrender and to sacrifice, and to begin looking at your income as a blessing and a gift from God, and to begin talking and praying and discerning about how you might surrender a portion of that unto the church so that kingdom work can unfold. Some of you may have been giving a little bit, and maybe you've been talking about what that next step may be like for you. I want to encourage you to lean in to that invitation. For me, it wasn't a jump from 0 to 10% overnight. It was a process. And some folks may disagree with that, but it's what worked for me in leading my family to a deeper surrender and sacrifice. There were those years we were at 2, 2.5, 3% of our income, and we prayed and said, let's jump to 5.5 or 6 this year. Every time we made a step towards greater faithfulness, it was like there was a tangible movement of the Spirit that let us know that God was affirming that sacrifice. Moving from 6 to 8 and then from 8 to 10, each step along the way over a season of life was a beautiful thing to behold. And it was a show of our faithfulness, and it was a journey for us, one where we learned a lot about ourselves, but we also got to see the movement of God around us, as through that sacrifice we were keenly aware of the way that the Spirit was undergirding us and guiding us to greater kingdom work. I want to encourage you to embrace the same, to finish strong here in 2022 as we wrap up this year at St. Paul, and as we look ahead to 2023 with great hope and anticipation of what we will do together as the Spirit moves in us and through us for the glory of our Heavenly Father.